Ahsoka is finally here, and it's probably Disney's second to last chance to save the Star Wars franchise. I'm not sure it's going to work out. Before I go any further, I should be upfront with you that I've never watched Clone Wars or Rebels. Like a lot of Star Wars fans, I completely tuned out of Star Wars after the first prequel film, for reasons I hope you can understand. It was only The Force Awakens that brought me back to the galaxy far, 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 far away, and that film taught me a very valuable lesson. It can always get worse. Then The Last Jedi taught me that lesson all over again. And then I didn't bother watching Rise of Skywalker. Maybe this will make me more impartial to Ahsoka, maybe not. Either way, here we go. With the click begging, please take a moment to rate, subscribe, and click the notification bell, and leave a comment if you feel like saying something. I would really appreciate it. So, we start out with an expository text crawl, but something is different about this one. The difference is that it sucks. The text is a hard to read shade of red, it's flat with no vanishing point, it just scrolls from bottom to top, and it's not justified, in either sense of the word. It looks like it was just pasted in with the text wrapping to whatever margins were set, and nothing we read here is anything we won't be told again 2 or 3 times. Then we see a New Republic ship commanded by an incompetent old white male. How is he incompetent? Well, they get a transmission from a shuttle using a Jedi code. They want to see the prisoner he's transporting. Captain Hide the Pain decides that because it's an old code, it doesn't check out, so he's going to do the smart thing and let these people on board his ship like they asked him to. If these people are actually Jedi and they don't want to be arrested, he has a problem. If these people aren't Jedi but have the resources to back up their scam, he has an even bigger problem. Because at least the Jedi might have been nicer about it. Maybe. So incompetent old white male is killed by evil old white male. Let's just call him Darth Santa. Darth Santa's little helper, Darth Punk Rock, kills everyone else on the ship while Darth Santa breaks evil old woman out of jail. Darth Santa asks evil old woman what this show they're in is all about, and evil old woman tells him it's about Ahsoka Tano. Then we see Ahsoka Tano wandering around some ruins. She does some Diablo 2 style busy work with some old-fashioned public ashtrays. This takes forever, but eventually she finds what she came for, some kind of spherical MacGuffin that looks like an extra big golden snitch from Harry Potter.
I'm ready to die.
Some evil droids attack her, she fights them, some of the droids decide to blow up. She runs away from the explosion and jumps onto her own ship, and there we finally learn just how ugly her own droid is. Then Ahsoka and her ugly droid hyperspace to where Captain Hide the Pain got shipjacked, and she talks to bored green woman about it. Ahsoka explains that the big snitch contains a secret map that might show the location of Grand Admiral Thrawn, who disappeared years ago. Bored green woman almost gets excited because she really enjoyed those books, but unfortunately Ahsoka's 500-year-old droid doesn't know how to decipher the MacGuffin to get the map out. So bored green woman tells Ahsoka that she should talk to this 20-something-year-old bored woman they both know from before the show started. She might be able to help. Ahsoka is doubtful because 20-something-year-old bored woman blocked her on Facebook years ago, but bored green woman points out that Ahsoka ghosted her on ICQ before that, so maybe she should just take a chance and reach out. Next, we find ourselves on Dry Grass Planet in a metropolis with almost no people living in it. There's an old white male politician that looks like Captain Sheridan from Babylon 5 took an extra dose of boomer pills. He's unveiling some fan art that's supposed to be a war memorial to some guy everyone's been talking about since the beginning of the show, but I can't remember his name because I don't care. 20-something-year-old bored woman was supposed to give a speech, but she's not there. Turns out she's on a speeder, driving away from the city with no people in it, on a highway with no traffic. I don't know about you, but this just made me want to stop watching and read a Battletech novel. Some diversity and fighter craft show up and try to give her a speeding ticket, but she's at least as diverse as they are and has more dialogue in the show, so she evades their traffic stop and makes it to the least hard to find hideout on the planet. At the top of this tower, we discover that she's 2 cats away from being a cat lady, and she's kinda depressed. So at this point you've learned that she's not just still technically in her 20s and bored, but also unhappy, stubborn, and rebellious in a way that she expects no consequences for. Then we're back to the planet where Ahsoka was, while the bad guys were at the ship that Ahsoka went to after, and now the bad guys are here. Darth Santa says the Golden MacGuffin was destroyed or Ahsoka has it. Evil old woman tells Darth Santa that Darth Punk Rock should go to the planet we just saw before seeing this planet again. When Darth Punk Rock asks Darth Santa why, he just tells her that she's looking for a 20-something-year-old bored sad woman, and and gives no other explanation because none is needed. Almost no one lives on the planet. Just check the phone book when you get there. So we go back to dry, grass, empty city planet and see the 20-something-year-old bored woman is having a nightmare about the guy whose name I can't remember. Then she gets the email she's been waiting for. AHSOKA is back and she wants to talk. So she's flying right over the house and all the way to the center of the empty city. Good thing 20-something bored woman's got that speeder. This is about where my notes started to thin out because the show was becoming a repetitive blur. AHSOKA asks 20-something-year-old bored woman if she can help with the big snitch. 20-something says, sure, let me take it back to my place. AHSOKA says that's not a good idea because it might get lost in a dirty litter box. Then AHSOKA gets distracted by ugly droids so he can give her some information that's of no real value. And when she comes back, 20-something is gone and she's taken the big snitch with her. What a rebel. 20-something drives all the way back to her cat tower while Darth Punk Rock watches. 20-something gets home and spends about 10 minutes clearing junk out of the way so she can sit down and fiddle around with the MacGuffin. Meanwhile, AHSOKA is just standing around talking to bored green woman. More meanwhile, 20-something bored woman is bored with this puzzle, so she takes a break to drink some box wine out of a thermos and then gets inspired by counting to 3 twice.
3 figures. 3 faces.
There are 4 lights!
She tries playing with the snitch like it's a Rubik's Cube, and with just 2 twists, there you go, it's solved. Should I have expected more from the show? This is less interesting and less convincing than watching Frank rub his greasy thumbs all over the puzzle box from Hellraiser. That was a good movie. So, after 20-something bored woman goes outside to use a pair of binoculars to look at what the thousands of years old golden snitch was supposedly concealing, Darth Punk Rock ambushes her, and 20-something bored woman becomes one of the few people ever to survive getting stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber. I guess if you drink enough box wine, you can survive anything. And this is where my notes run dry because this is really all that happens in the show. Over and over, people stand around and talk. Sometimes they fight. Then we go to another planet. People stand around and talk. Maybe there's another fight. Both episodes 1 and 2 mostly involve standing around. Sometimes people are standing or sitting on a ship or ground craft of some sort that might be in motion, but nothing else is, especially the plot. None of this accomplishes a sense of epic proportion or satisfyingly slow burn because it doesn't hold our attention. Were the plot flawless or even interesting, these characters would crush the life out of it. AHSOKA has 2 dimensions, silently stoic bored and conversationally bored. She even looks bored when she's fighting. Sometimes she crosses her arms. Then there's AHSOKA's former Padawan, 20-something-year-old bored sad woman. Her modes are smugly relaxed bored, a little bit frustrated bored, and sad bored. Then there's Darth Santa. He's bored, and sometimes intensely bored. Then there's Darth Santa's little helper, Darth Punk Rock. She's either angry fighting bored or angry standing around bored. Then there's Evil Old Woman. She's bored too. Then there's Bored Green Woman, General whatever. And when I say whatever, I mean I don't know what. She wears goggles, but she spends most of her time standing around indoors. She's the most bored out of the whole cast, and yet she does most of the talking. Her role seems to be akin to that NPC you keep going back to in a video game, over and over again, hoping she might say something different. Usually she doesn't, but whatever she says, it's said with less personality than an NPC in an 8-bit video game. It's like they put full makeup and costume on the stand-in, and rather than having the stand-in stand there while the script supervisor fed lines off camera, they just turn the camera on the stand-in and had the stand-in say the lines instead. While we're on the topic of green women, if you were hoping for a little more than just an interesting character, you're out of luck here too. If you were a pre-adolescent boy in the 1980s, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, you might have worried that Star Wars gave you an unhealthy interest in green women. Well, worry no more. This character will cure you of that. This is not the Twi'lek of your dreams, no. This is the well-meaning but misguided aunt that dresses up as a Twi'lek and then crashes your birthday party. The only thing slowing her down is that she took 1 too many bong hits before coming over, and she knows it. However, unlike your reckless aunt, you don't have to put on a happy face and save Disney's feelings. You don't have to take one for the team because Disney is not on your team. Disney is not your family. It's not even a family-friendly brand anymore. Unlike your aunt, the people above the line at Lucasfilm don't love you or care about your birthday, and they probably never did. Now, if you're an Ahsoka fan, if you really like the cartoons, I want you to know that I feel for you. I understand what you're going through. It's happened to me many times, over and over, and it's probably going to happen again. As the next 6 episodes of Ahsoka come in, stay tuned to this channel. At the very least, I'll do a season-wide review when it's all done, and we can all get together then. Unless we all die of cringe before that. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please take a moment to rate, subscribe, and click the notification bell, and leave a comment if you feel like saying something. I'd really appreciate it. Like a space cat, or any cat, I don't really know who you are, but if you feed me once, I'll be your friend forever. Until we meet again, remember the universe might be indifferent to human suffering, but it's not against you. The Force is with you, and so am I.